Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Simo. Alongside me is Elk Battery, and I got a cat here hiding in the corner as well. All three of us are going to do a phenomenal job today in casting the very first week of the UPL summer season. Alk, are you excited? Are you just as excited as I am today?
Oh, dude, of course I'm excited. First of all, it's UPL. Everyone's always looking forward to this. As well as, we've got 100 Thieves next versus Frostfire. Obviously 100 Thieves, these men bring in huge names. And between the two of these teams, I'm incredibly excited to see kind of the clash between the two of them.
Yeah, and we've seen obviously 100 Thieves next their first participatory season last season. Unfortunately, knocked down to the lower bracket, not able to kind of face their demons. I believe it was against Issues Critical that managed to kind of win them over, and then, oh, sorry, it was Orglis. Sorry, Orglis
Yeah.
was the team that was able to knock them down a peg. However, it looks like they will be coming stronger this season. Hoping that I mean, there's been a little bit of a roster swap. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we got to see obviously last season we were talking about Pume. This man was absolutely kind of smashing the league when it came to support, and then all of a sudden coming into this new season, we see that 100 Thieves next they're playing with a new bot lane. It's Akinoki and Otto kind of just sitting down there, Otto role swapping to support. I was a little bit afraid coming into 2020 when I saw this. I was like, please, 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 like I don't want to have another situation where we have Keith McBrief kind of swapping over. No offense to him, I think he did pretty well in some games, but I was really worried for Otto and coming in. He actually has done really well so far in the amateur scene. Got to see him a couple weeks ago at LWL Scouting Grounds qualifiers, and so far throughout a bunch of the amateur games, Hunter These Next has actually looked incredibly dominant.
Yeah, I was hoping that this will be a kind of refreshed roster and we'll see them back into their same form. They had a great start last season. I'm hoping that they've got a similar start. But why don't you tell us who they're up against today? Frostfire. Who do we got here today, and what is their story?
Yeah, Frostfire. They're kind of a ragtag team right now. They're coming in. They've had some performances in the past couple of weeks in some of the scouting ground qualifiers that have been going on through the weeks. But this team has actually originally with the original lineup, we were looking at 3/5 of the team from the Grandview University squad. But now they've actually made a kind of substitution with Kitsuo coming in, which is super interesting considering it feels like 100 Thieves versus Thieves right now. Kitsuo being on the Academy squad about 2 years ago is really insane to see him coming in last second. So I'm actually really interested to see what Frostfire, what they can put up against these because. Looking on paper, and let's just be honest, a lot of people have their money on 100 Thieves next time.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a safe man's bet. I would presume this team is, like you said earlier, filled with some incredible talent, and Frostfire is still talented nonetheless. It may be a difficult hurdle for them to climb up against this 100 Thieves roster. But again, it's the first week. Anything can happen. Who knows? Maybe Frostfire spent some time in the hyperbolic time chamber. Maybe the quarantine is what they needed in order to get locked and loaded, but we'll see that as we are just moments away from the draft, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank all of you guys for tuning in and hopping in. Now, this is, of course, the Infernal Division. Why don't you tell us who else is a part of this division and what we can expect in kind of weeks to come from this group?
Yeah, when we did the draw the draw show a couple weeks ago, we were kind of looking at okay, what groups is 100 Thieves going to come in? Radiance, Anew. These were a lot of teams that people had their eyes on, and in the Infernal, we've got 100 Thieves next and Frostfire. Obviously, we've also got Radiance and Slaughterhouse. Specifically, a lot of people looking at the Radiance squad. This is a team that is just Radiance as a name and as an organization always draws a lot of eyes. So this group Infernal always just everyone looks at they're like this is looking a little bit like Group of Death. Some other people are looking at Cloud as potentially like, ooh, this could be the big team, the big group with Anu and Maryville on there. So as well as the Supernova Dark Matter squad. So Cloud and Infernal are looking incredibly competitive when it comes to it. So Infernal coming into this draft, I'm really excited to see where this kind of division goes as we get closer to playoffs towards the end of the season.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit before we started the broadcast how part of this Frostfire roster are from the original Grandview University team, who were in the group of death last time as well. So for them, is going to be a big hurdle to
Yeah.
overcome, especially with 100 Thieves being in their group. We'll see if they're able to do it. Of course, we're just waiting for our players to get locked and loaded for the draft phase. And speaking of draft, what do you kind of expect now after, since UPL winter, after a couple of patches have gone through, what do you expect some of these players to kind of pick and get locked and loaded for the match ahead.
Yeah, specifically, I think there's a lot of key kind of notes when we take a look at some of the lane matchups. Kenvi versus Kitsuo should be some nice aggressive jungling, although we're probably just going to see Kindred Trundle like we've been seeing for the past few weeks. I'd actually be really interested to see Tenacity versus Air Jelly. I feel every time that I watch 100 Thieves, I get this feeling of if you try to match fire for, fight fire with fire, if you try to fight with carries in the top side, Tenacity is going to win. We saw this actually last night versus Maryville University over at Big League. Tenacity was just smashing Niles in almost every matchup. To be fair, he got some nice counter matchups, so maybe we can give him, the benefit of the doubt. But it feels like Tenacity is willing to play a lot more of those skill-reliant champions like the Rise, like Gangplank, like Lucian and stuff. So I'm interested to see how Air Jelly kind of matches up because I think if this team in the side of Frostfire, if they try to play tanks, I think you actually have a really interesting case where Tenacity will try to break you, but I mean, if you're just playing Ornn, not too many people can you can break the champion, but once you get out of that laning phase, it's really rough.
Yeah. I mean, maybe one day. I'm hoping for this famous Irelia that Tenacity has in his back pocket. I don't think
Oh
we'll ever get to see it, but
no.
maybe one day we will. Maybe he'll bring it out on in one of these group stage games. But so far, I would have to agree with you that Tenacity being a huge rock for that team, just being so dominant, so aggressive, and always being there when his team needs him the most, whether it's for handy dragon steel or you need top turret or you
You
need
just walk into
uh
Baron, just
yeah.
smite it, just walk away. It's like, all right, well, cool, I guess. So
We're just
yeah,
getting a little bit of a quick word that we're still waiting. We're running into a couple of issues with the pick and ban, but again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for bearing with us as we are trying to figure things out. We're just trying to spice up the UPL summer for you, okay? We got to make sure it looks good, and boy does it. We're going to see that in just a bit. So besides Air Jelly and Tenacity, are there any other matchups that you are currently looking forward towards in the match ahead?
yeah. I think between Otto and Shukis, I think this is going to be kind of a big proving ground. Seeing Otto in a much more kind of stable roster, constantly kind of playing that support, I'd be interested to see what ends up happening there. Specifically, I actually do want to take a look at Copy and Saranok. I think Copy has been having a pretty great few splits in a row and been doing really well for himself, all things considered. But Saranok is this player that coming from LLN, playing in the kind of in that CB low region over there. He's been playing in some of the more secondary divisions, specifically like CDLO, as well as he got to play in LLN closing split in 2017, and then he got to be a substitute at Lotus Esports. So I'm interested to see where Saranok kind of lines up because we saw him in the scouting or the big league scouting qualifiers and he kind of lost a little bit early towards the new roster. So I want to see Saranok come into his own on this new roster here in Frostfire and where this potentially leads. Because I think with a little bit of time, this kind of import slot where you have Saranok playing could actually turn into something really beautiful coming in from another region. So I'd love to see him get another shot at, kind of climbing through amateur and making it potentially into some academy rosters.
I think UPL is definitely the place to do it. Like you mentioned earlier, a lot of star-studded rosters, a new Radiance, and even 100 Thieves, which we're going to experience their gameplay today. A lot of competition, and for somebody like Serenok, as you're saying, it's going to be very important for him to get that practice in, especially at the level that the UPL summer has to offer. And you were talking about Ornn a little bit earlier. Maybe we're going to see Copy on that Ornn duty as well.
No way.
We've seen it before, but I don't think we'll see it again here today. It's possible, but you touched on very briefly that Otto here now role swapping from ADC down to support. How do you think that's going to really um, affect, or is that going to improve his performance? Is it going to decrease it? Like, how do you think that that's going to change his playstyle?
Um, I mean, Otto should know kind of how bot lane works. He knows the other side of the matchup. So in theory, going and role swapping to support should be incredibly easy. You just need to work on being a kind of a team leader. And I think with the time that he's also spent on CLG Academy and some of those games that he's able to play on main stage, I think should be able to bring some of those leadership qualities to an amateur team. Specifically, I think I was a little bit worried when I got to see him on Tom Kench. Typically when you see AD carry swap, they want to play the big beefy boys. They want to play Thresh, they want to play Nautilus. But I think it's really key to try and show some kind of flexibility on much more of these supportive champions like the Morgana and specifically like Tom Kench, like I was saying earlier. So I'm expecting for Otto to kind of have this higher pedigree. I think it's kind of responsible to try to keep the bar at a relative level. This is still an academy player. This is also someone that has been had a lot of time to play at a much higher level. So I think Otto should be able to bring some intangibles that you don't necessarily maybe see when you're looking at a player and you're just looking at his resume of let me go check his Leaguepedia. What has he played on? Like he
Yeah.
should be able to bring some intangibles to his team that I think were very, very highly kind of cherished.
I think there's also something super important to know about role swapping in general. We've seen obviously the most infamous role swap is Perks to AD carry, and then oh my god, Caps to mid, and then they swap now Perks mid, Caps to ADC. So usually you'd think maybe based on paper that a good role swap is from ADC to mid, but we're seeing some changes recently in the in rosters across the world where you're seeing ADCs drop down to support. Not drop down, not saying supports are below ADCs,
I
but
mean, technically
um
in pick order, when you put like LCS order, it is under them. They do get
yeah,
last pick most of the
okay,
time.
yeah,
So let's,
yeah, but nevertheless, support is really up there currently with being a defining role in the game where you're able to make a lot of important decisions. The warding style that you push forward, the vision line, the denial of vision, also making clear calls when it comes to if you're an engaged support, do I engage, do I disengage? Kind of like a lot of those rules of thumb for ADCs, you just got to make sure you don't get hit. Make sure that you're out of the line of fire. Make sure that you're dealing as much damage. Making sure that you're very efficient. But with the support, you got to make decisions. So going in from ADC down to support, it's going to be interesting to see how that adaptation comes through. And speaking of adaptation, the moment you've been waiting for, how will these two teams adapt to picks and bans? We're already locked in.
yeah, I'm interested to see. I see a lot of those kind of mid priorities, specifically trying to take away from Serenok. A lot of these champions that he's found a lot of success on. I think getting rid of Zoe and Xerath are super key, and Graves is just yeah, and Graves has really just been rising up in priority. So kind of great to see that. I'm interested to see what Frostfire is able to pick from here.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of an update. I believe there was a couple of issues that ran through when it comes to both of these teams, and so as I believe as a penalty over to the side of Frostfire, they are losing all of their bans for game number 1.
Yeah.
That was the resolution that was agreed upon. And then now you're seeing that they banned Amumu, Annie, Yorick. That is all random. And you're seeing the Trundle first pick. You talked about it earlier, the Kindred jungle kind of meta here that we got going on. It's going to be locked in. And we're seeing Varus and Gangplank to answer back. I like the Gangplank taken away. However, Tenacity, I think, knows how to deal with it and could probably pick something that he's comfortable into it.
Yeah, we're most likely going to see a Rise Flex pick here. So 100 Thieves, if they want, they can actually just go and start to pick up bot lane and support. Wouldn't be surprised to kind of see Misfortune on the opposite side. If not, we might even see Ezreal, although kind of probably not going to keep that. So Syndra also a really great flex for themselves here. But like we were saying with the Trundle, there's a bunch of constants in this world. There's death taxes and then Kindred jungle, Kindred versus Trundle every game. Those are just the couple constants in the world. And really interested to see. We actually saw this last night. Tenacity just immediately picks up the Lucian to try and counter that Gangplank pick here. So really interesting here from Frostfire. They kind of have to deal with a lot of flexible picks here. Lucian goes in almost every single lane if he wants to, and Syndra with that amazing flex pick still allows for 100 Thieves to have a lot of flexibility like we were saying. I don't like Trundle so early on into the draft, but if that's one of the only sins you're going to make in draft, I'm willing to take that.
And I mean, putting it on somebody like Kenvi is just so invaluable. The wealth of experience that he has. And funny enough, he's going to be going up against Kitsuo. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that sort of dynamic works out. We are seeing the next phase of bans come through. Morgana, you were talking about how you would have loved to see it on auto, but it looks like it might be picked here into the support lane. Very rarely do we see it into mid. So very likely that we're seeing Chalkies here on the Morgana.
Yeah, and for 100 Thieves, if they want for bans, they can start hitting jungle. I think Kindred is a potential pick here, unless they actually want to keep that available to themselves and just say, like, fine, go ahead and pick Kindred. We actually have a lot of great champions that deal with her. It looks like they are going to throw at least some bans over into the jungle. I think that they've correctly kind of pinpointed where they want.
difficult.
I'm interested to see how Otto can try to micro his team. We're probably going to see a lot less vision control thanks to Yumi having to try to roam with someone else on his team. Specifically, probably going to have to be someone like Trundle to try to go into the jungle. So I'm kind of scared for 100 Thieves when it comes to that early vision priority. But coming in, we've got a pretty competitive draft. I think Lux is actually something super unique. We don't typically see this champion pop up very much, but she has been getting some love here and there. So very interested to see how Serenok is going to be able to pull her against someone like Syndra. Although this could also still be a flex where you have Morgana just keeping Syndra away and be actually really, really great with the jungle synergy.
Yeah, now that we are officially back, thank you so much for being patient with us, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, Papa Smithy, I see you in the chat. Don't tease us like that, making a return to casting. But nevertheless, we are officially done picks and bans, as some of you have already seen. Pretty interesting to see Frostfire pick up a couple of very interesting picks. The Lux as well as the Morgana, the Kha'Zix as well. Not stuff that you really see too often. But on the side of 100 Thieves, it is kind of a textbook composition. And we're going to see Tenacity do what he does on the Lucian. Just every single game that we see him play, the Lucian is just so dominant.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, if it's not Lucian, it's Gangplank. And if it's not Gangplank, it's Ryze. Then it's Aatrox, it's Jax. This man's just all about carry champions. So not really surprising to see him on something like that, especially after last night. But I mean, I'm super interested to kind of see what we get in this mid lane matchup. Specifically, I think that seeing something like Lux is actually a really great pick that we don't typically see, like we've been saying, but is actually really, really good into Syndra. Keeps, hey, if you want to play the long range poke game, sure, that's fine. I'm going to hit you with a binding, and all of a sudden you have a lot to deal with if you're Syndra. So probably going to be seeing a cleanse on that. And early game, I'm actually expecting for 100 Thieves next to have some really good kind of game plan here, because on the opposite side from Frostfire, you have a bunch of lanes that actually need a ton of help from Kitsuo here. Kha'Zix gonna be looking towards mid and top, and I think when we come into this, we're gonna probably see some early pathing up in that top side. Tenacity, Air Jelly versus Kenvi and Kitsuo. We're gonna see a lot of early action on top scuttle, potentially some early ganks coming up there.
Getting a lot of really much needed criticism and feedback in the chat. A lot of people want to see the cat. I'm gonna try to move over just a little bit. See the cat.
That's the important part, right?
Yeah, that's the most important. People don't care about the draft.
That's what
People
I was
don't care about
telling
100 Thieves. They want to see the cat. I'm gonna move the cat on over. I'm just warning you guys. Once I start casting, he is out of there. And for those of you who are curious what his name is Itachi. He's a cute cat, and he actually scratched the hell out of me the other day. You can kind of see them.
You lack hatred, bro.
You can kind of see
you
them,
lack
but
the hatred.
he definitely does likes to play. Speaking of cats, didn't want to touch on this bot lane, Yumi. How does that play into Varus Morgana? Usually we're seeing Varus paired up here with the Tahm Kench, and we're not seeing it this time around. What do you kind of expect out of to come out of the bot lane?
I mean, this is just the bot lane that we've been seeing for the past couple months, where it's just, hey, we're going to poke you, we're not going to look to interact, and we're going to try and hit our first item power spikes pretty early on and not have too much of a rough laning phase here. Specifically, I think into Varus, who's been more and more, we keep seeing this poke style build coming out because of just how strong it is and the gold efficiency you get from something like Umbroglaive. I think it's super important. And on the opposite side, I mean, Ezreal, yeah, he can't deal with poke very well, and how do you kind of match that? You have a Yumi who won't interact with Morgana, who will give extra healing and make sure that he can try to dodge the bindings, and even if they do try to trade damage, you have maybe 15 to 20 seconds where Yumi is just constantly healing, and all of a sudden, all of that poke has been negated. That kind of early game that you're looking for, all of those advantages that you typically would assign with having a poke composition are completely negated because, hey, I'm just regenerating my health. I'd be interested to see what kind of soul we get, and potentially Ocean Soul I think would be a really interesting win condition here for 100 Thieves next.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're waiting for the summoners to load up onto the rift. I'm going to pet the cat, and for your enjoyment, here's a quick look at Sector 6 apparel. We'll be right back.
Started with a vision. A vision of quality, a vision of uniformity. We took the time to create something familiar yet refreshing, something with a bit of change.
Designed to fit any brand's unique vision.
Just walk right out the door. Don't want to.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back as our summoners have officially loaded onto the Rift and we're ready for game number 1 of week 1 of the UPL summer season. Your lineups are 100 Thieves, Tenacity in the top lane, Kenvi in the jungle, Copy in the mid lane, Akinoki and Otto in the bot lane.
Yeah, and on the opposite side, we've got Frostfire top side. He's going to be Air Jelly with Kitsuo in the jungle, Saranok in mid lane. We've got Lobaz and Shuki sitting down in the bot lane.
And we are seeing a pretty standard 5-point spread from both these teams. Copy walking in aggressively with the Cat of Honor, Yumi, Otto. Trying to get a little bit of a poke in, but not going to connect with that. And back to a 5-point spread, pretty standard here, but really interested to see, as you mentioned earlier, the pathing of both of these junglers.
Yeah, more than likely. I just want to take a look at some of the summoners here. We got a lot of cleanses. This is a team that has a lot when it comes to crowd control between mid lane and the bot lane. You've got 3 just long-range root engages here for this enemy team. So Frostfire actually have really great engage, and that's actually where I want to take a look at when we get closer to those team fights. So we'll check in around 15 minutes and see where this team is, where they kind of set where they're kind of set up. But we're already seeing an early invade, and typically what we tend to see from these teams and for junglers is you plant an early ward, you back, and you get your early sweepers. We've seen that here for Kenvi, and he's gone ahead and done that. So interestingly enough, it seems like Kitsuo caught onto that as Tenacity ends up in top side. They probably just going to go for a little bit of vertical jungling here, but the side of 100 Thieves, they should know Kitsuo has entered through bot side.
We're seeing a little bit of a scrappy bot lane here. Chuki's not going to be on the positive side of that engage, and we're seeing Tenacity going to start to bully the gangplank just a little bit. Air Jelly needs to kind of hold strong. His jungler's on his way, surely soon enough, but Tenacity's going to take advantage of some of that early pressure from the vertical jungling, as now Trundle still on that top side, working on his Gromp, going to get that blue as well. And it's going to be rough for Air Jelly for a little bit, but we're seeing on this bot side that they got to be careful as well, as Kha'Zix is down and nearby.
Yeah, so this just means that Copy, like you were saying, has to play a little bit safe here. They have complete vision of him because that ward is literally just watching him take Raptors. Probably the best seat in the house right there. If you're Copy, you're just like, all right, I know where the enemy Kha'Zix is. I'm just gonna stay top side of my lane and be kind of sitting up there pretty free. I guess the most important part here is this just means that now Tenacity versus Air Jelly just becomes this great lane for him. Just take a look at this. This just means that now Air Jelly has to be very aggressive with where he walks up on the lane. He needs to be able to get lane priority for himself, because otherwise Tenacity just freezes waves in front of his turret, and Gangplank does not have an amazing time early on. So going to be waiting for first items. Once we get around 10 minutes, I'll save that. Aki kind of walks into the brush here.
Ooh, Kitsu
Exhaust.
gonna try to find Akinoki, but a long-range snare not going to connect. They're gonna return their damage back onto Kitsuo, but not going to find anybody just yet. I believe Copy may have been looking for that rotate over, but he will be unfortunately not able to do so. Doesn't have priority in the mid lane. Doesn't even have really a whole lot of movement speed to get down there as well. But the gank will not succeed. Or rather, it wasn't really a gank as the bot lane was just face checking to see if he was on Krugs. And with the exhaust down, they were able to lose one summoner, but still not really that big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, important to note there, like you were saying, the exhaust is gone, and specifically Akinoki and Otto don't have a lot of mana that they're able to trade. He's been using these Mystic shots to really just try to farm at length, make sure that, hey, I'm not interacting with this bot lane. We're making sure that we're staying at least a little bit far away, but we're seeing that that is starting to take a toll. They are going to have to back sooner rather than later. If I take a look, only got 700 gold, so Aki and the 100 Thieves bot lane are going to be kind of hurting for a little bit as these waves are constantly crashing into this turret. I think this is a perfect place for them to try and keep this. As long as that turret plate doesn't go down, I think that this is a perfectly worthwhile trade for them.
Yeah, the bot lane, kind of the big major focus here, at least for the time being, as we still see pretty even farm on the top side. Tenacity hasn't really turned up the aggression. He's got a lot of vision, so he doesn't really need to respect Kitsuo. He can very safely, at least for the time being, push in and get aggressive, but he might just be trying to bait in and have Kenvi come in to secure the kill.
That's actually really interesting that he's gone for an early recall with no TP here. We take a look at some of their itemization. They've got double corrupting bot, but Tenacity has found a pretty great back timer here where he's able to back and pick himself up the Doran's Blade. I don't exactly remember which order it was. It seems like now we're actually seeing Air Jelly back pick up the Cull. But I mean, we're seeing it in the laning phase. Air Jelly, he has himself a little bit of an XP lead here because of that back, but has to blow the TP and is gonna be hurting because of how fast he gonna just drains through those corrupting pot stacks.
Yeah, now he has the call as well. I believe, sorry, it's Air Jelly who has the call.
Yeah.
Gonna be a very, very rough situation for him, but he's got to
We're
do what
farming,
he's gotta
boys. We're
do.
farming. And take a look
Yeah.
at this. He's just holding the wave right in front of him. Air Jelly has to walk up, and I mean, if he's
Oh,
utilizing
wow.
his trial by fire passive, it is actually really dangerous with the corrupting pot damage that ticks over. But I mean, Tenacity just frees this wave right in front of his turret. Air Jelly really can't even interact, and you're just hoping that the cannon barrage is going to be of more use somewhere else.
Tenacity can make set look mechanically interesting. Okay, so
True.
this is something that I'm expecting to see some very spicy plays come out of him as the game continues. But still, pretty even. Of course, the CS lead is starting to balloon just a little bit. He does have that TP advantage, so expect that to go maybe balloon up even further. We still haven't seen Kenvi really be anywhere on the map. He's just been kind of power farming, hoping to get to that level 6. He has the level advantage, level 5 over level 4 on Kitsuo, but still just trying to get those waves in. But we're seeing a little bit of engage. That's going to be the cannon barrage. The double gap going to be coming out looking for that kill onto Air Jelly, not going to connect as Kitsuo comes in time, saves the gangplank, and walks away with a kill.
I feel like I'm watching the wrong game right here. The culling gets cold right there by Air Jelly. Picks up the assist on that. Kitsuo being on that top side is able to find that early kill on Tenacity. And I think specifically the big point here is we're taking a look at Frostfire's composition, and they have a lot of lanes that need some assistance to start to get them to start rolling. Specifically, Air Jelly needs a lot of attention. We look on the side of 100 Thieves, you have a Lucian and a Syndra that need some early kills here, and we need to see Kenvi, who is on a jungler that doesn't have a lot of early priority. I think specifically Serenok would be the next possible priority for where they want to send some of their ganks, but allowing Trundle to farm does kind of open up some possibilities for this team. I'm a little bit worried that if this Kindred starts to kind of pop off, we might have a little bit of an issue. But I mean, he's already hit level 6, and they're even able to get themselves an early Infernal Drake. Next one's going to be Cloud, so we could potentially start to see that Ocean Drake lose condition that we had set up earlier.
Yeah, or it's the Mountain, where it's not really that big of a deal. It's
Either
still
way, I
a
mean,
good-
against the poke comp, I'll
Yeah,
take the
it's-
Mountain Drake.
Yeah, it's still good, but it needs a little work. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, Tenacity still playing quite aggressively as Kitsuo still in that top side. Tenacity having to back away, using that relentless pursuit to get to safety, gonna ward up that river as well. And like you said earlier, Kitsuo just hovering around that top side, not really looking towards that bot side at all. He knows that he's lost control, or at least significant control of that side of the jungle. Kenvi trying to take the blue buff here. The smite will connect, and that's going to be a quick buff steal from him as the bot lane was trying to answer. So now looking over to mid lane, we are seeing the mid jungle duo, Tenacity
wait
in
a
the top
minute.
lane, getting into a 1v1. Might try to turn it
Ooh.
back around. The culling coming out, but it's not enough damage, and the corrupting potion will take him down and win the 1v1.
Yeah, I feel like this bot lane or this top lane, sorry, is starting to backfire here a little bit for 100 Thieves next. The early lane, really here for Tenacity. He just wants to take away that barrel combo. And again, he needs that jungler assistance. I think if they made this into a 1v2, a 2v2, I think with him and Kenvi, you can make an argument that, hey, they're looking for a fight here. But like I was saying, Corrupting Pot plus that that Trial by Fire passive is super deadly. And if Air Jelly is able to close the distance between the two of them, make this, instead of a range versus melee matchup, get right up in his face. I mean, Lucian doesn't have a lot of resistances. He is that range champion, so ends up falling down yet again, 0-2 up into this top side, and some of that advantage that we were talking about coming into draft is starting to fade away, although we'll have to wait until those first items come through to really see where it kind of shakes up. That's really where I'm expecting Tenacity to start kind of a resurgence into this.
Is it possibility just how the jungle pathing worked out? It didn't really work out in Tenacity's favor. Kitsuo pretty much having complete control of that top side, and Kenvi opting in for that bot side control. I mean, dragon control quite important, as now he's making his way back up, but we may see a little bit of a gank here. That's going to be the Cannon Barrage is coming out. Tenacity having to 1v1 so far as Kenvi's making his way up. Maybe another shots. A couple of shots come through, and here comes the pillar. Will he be able to get the kill? Yes, he will, but it's quickly traded away as Kenvi will find that last kill, and now 1v1 trade going over to the way of Kenvi.
Yeah, I mean, not fantastic, obviously able to get himself a kind of a reward kill on the back end right there, but that took a lot of kind of resources from the side of 100 Thieves next. You'd be expecting, like we were saying, with the amount of topside priority that Kenvi was able to get himself with, getting that topside buff after the invade and going for blue, you would expect that, hey, this Trundle and specifically the Thieves, they can go into this topside, they can look to try and pressure Air Jelly off of this, but now we're just seeing the Cannon Barrage, which is the most important part of this gangplank, is coming together and assisting with that kill. Kitsuo able to pick himself up a second one, and while he is falling behind in farm, he's then also setting behind some of the most important members for 100 Thieves next. So getting themselves the Rift Herald in trade after that kill, I'd say that probably 100 Thieves next, they're not as happy as they could be, but they're most willing to probably trying to take that trade.
They are down on gold significantly. 1,000 gold here in the early game can start to really add up here for Frostfire if they continue on their trajectory. But most of that gold difference is in the top lane, really. It's not anywhere else, as it seems quite even across the board for the most part. Tenacity is still trying to duel out with Air Jelly, but a very difficult scenario. Can be now making his way to that top side.
Poppy's here as well.
And this is one of those scenarios where Air Jelly may be feeling a little bit too comfortable, maybe feeling a little bit too cocky maybe even, and now he might be able to pay for it. Pillar going to be coming up here. The culling as well. They are just looking for the kill. Going to try to give it over to Tenacity, but Copy will take it away, putting his first kill on the board.
Sixth man in the minion wave right there just stops the culling from really putting any damage. Kitsuo's trying to stop Copy.
Ooh, that's going to be the scout of the week as well. Going to try to dwindle him down, but unfortunately, he's caught between a rock and a hard place. Kitsuo going to walk away with that clean and clear, putting him up 3 kills already. Great start for him.
Yeah, an amazing job. Again, they try to call that Rift Herald up into top side. I'm pretty sure, yeah. So they actually don't even get the full turret right there. They get themselves at least 4 plates in that. So a lot of gold split between Kenvi and Tenacity right there. Awesome job for the Thieves. But it then completely backfires with Copy having to go down. Thankfully, he doesn't use any of his summoners, so he can come back to lane versus Lux, and not super worried. But with the Cloud Drake coming up, we have to worry. Is Frostfire going to be able to pick this up for free? And are the Thieves willing to try to risk at least some of their advantage? I think bot side has done a pretty great job. Now we have to watch as, you know, Kenvi is here. We see the TP coming in. Aki has no mana in this fight.
Yeah, they're going to try to poke their way through at least. The smite will connect, and Kenvi
Uh-oh.
gonna get caught with the snare. That's as well. The chain of corruption going to come through, as well as Chalky's flashing right through. Kenvi will lose his life. They will secure the dragon. They may look for more here, but not really any of those abilities going to connect, and Akinoki as well as Otto will make it away safely. A little bit of a rough engage considering the TP was called in from Serenok, as well as Air Jelly pushing in the mid wave, gaining that priority. Very difficult 3v5 scenario, as well as Copy and Tenacity were not in the vicinity to assist. Difficult, 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 but nevertheless, Crossfire come out on top.
Yeah, that was you know, if Trundle has to go down for it, you feel really bad for that. Like you were saying, the TP gets invested there for Frostfire. Probably not the best kind of investment for themselves, but able to pick themselves up a kill. And on the opposite side there, the Thieves, it feels like once they kind of lose something on the opposite side, they're able to get something else for themselves across the map. You know, with gold, even now, we've kind of close that gap that we were talking about a few minutes ago, where it was about 1,000 gold, but now it's starting to even up thanks to that turret and those turret plates going down. I mean, we haven't seen too much from Kenvi, and that was something that, you know, we had pointed out earlier was going to be the key to where the Thieves were going to find some kind of success, and already we're seeing, sadly, no Ocean Soul this time around, but the Mountain Soul, I think, is a really interesting way that 100 Thieves, if they are able to clinch it, would be able to find a potential lose condition here for Frostfire. But so far, they're looking in the driver's seat with this kind of different draft.
You know, initially when that Kha'Zix was picked up here for Kitsuo, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of doubted it in the back of my mind, but it's actually been applying quite a bit of pressure here for the side of Kenvi. Maybe not as much as they had originally hoped, but Kenvi, like, you're power farming into a Kha'Zix jungle. But Kha'Zix has 4 kills, or he's participated in 4 of the kills. 4 out of the 5, he's got 3 to his name as well. But he's going to need to start snowballing that advantage as soon as possible, or else it will just have no value once we get to that mid to late game. So he's going to need to really start to ramp up his ganks or try to get people out of position. And we'll see how he does that as he's just farming up here in the top side. Maybe he might get Tenacity again.
That was kind of what I was really wondering where we were going to see Kenvi in this game. Kitsuo is just this huge assassin player, specifically, kind of like things. I'll hold that, actually. Tenacity getting ganked up in top side. Kitsuo is here.
Yeah, like I said earlier, Kitsuo, he just wants all the
Ooh.
kills. Going to secure it there with the Void Spikes. That's kill number 4, you were saying?
Yeah, and I was worried about where 100 Thieves were going to be able to play through. I was wondering, hey, Kenvi on this Trundle, I'm never a fan of Trundle first pick. I'm never even a fan of Trundle on the 3rd and 4th pick, depending on what the draft is. But, I mean, Kenvi has not had that much of an influence. And like you were saying, while he is power farming, I think some of that lead has actually kind of dissipated into the gold lead that now Kitsuo has found himself in. He was down about 30 gold, but now he's caught himself up. And he's 5 out of the 6 kills here. He's not only kind of destroying the matchup that we were expecting for Tenacity to smash, but he's also doing really well for himself. And this is where the kind of the gap in where the draft here was for 100 Thieves was. This top side needs to smash in order for this composition to look great. If they have Copy on here, then guess what? If you have the Syndra that's looking well, it's great, but you have so many lanes that need assistance, specifically in top in the solo lanes, that it becomes very difficult that if one of them falls, the other one needs to be looking quite beautiful. And we're not usually seeing that right now from Copy. I think Saranaka has done actually a really beautiful job at completely neutralizing this lane, and I think the pick of the Sona has actually done its job beautiful.
Yeah, you also have to kind of mention that Frostfire not really having a tanky front line in some of these engages that we might find ourselves in as we get to that mid game and we start to see maybe more control around some of the outer tier turrets that are still remaining for 100 Thieves, or maybe some of those little engages that we see here. We're seeing the roots come out here. They're looking for Kitsuo, not able to secure that damage. But that's going to be the TP. They're just going to pigeonhole the bug, get the fly swatter ready, but he's going to make his way out, but the shutdown comes through, and here comes Tenacity. He gets his first kill put on the board. Chalky's now trying to retreat. The calling come through. They will get the double kill as Copy gets that one. Beautiful stuff coming out from 100 Thieves.
There we go, and they tried to play with fire and end up getting burned on the red side here as Kitsuo, he goes a little bit too deep, and the entirety of his team kind of falls apart yet again, not really waiting for the cannon barrage. Air Jelly wasn't quite in a position to try to answer. We saw the TP come out from Tenacity. They're thinking, all right, maybe we can get away. Maybe just Kitsuo ends up going down there. But Lobaz and Chuki on the back end end up kind of overextending their lead. And, I mean, we kind of see Tenacity get a few kills. Not only that, but Copy coming into his own on this. Yes, his laning phase was sacrificed a little bit. That's typically where we see Syndra kind of peak. But we're starting to get to that point where 100 Thieves next are actually really powerful, where they're looking on one items and they're looking to try and smash as they get themselves a second Rift Tilt to crash into mid lane, and they use that pressure to now try and assault for a Mountain Drake here. TP coming in from Air Jelly.
Yeah, they want to fight this. They don't want to give this up at all. Kenvi gonna try to survive here. He's gonna pop
Wait a
the
minute.
ultimate as well. He's gonna need to get away, but oh my goodness, the damage. He will be absolutely blown to bits. Now with the jungler down, they may not be able to secure this dragon. Is Kitsuo alive and healthy? Smite available. Copy's in so much trouble. Air Jelly with the flash, trying to style on him. Not actually going to connect with any of that damage. It'll only be Kenvi that ends up falling, and a dragon secured here for Frostfire.
Man, he didn't even look at him. Air Jelly he turned around, he said, cool guys don't look at explosions, and almost was able to take out Copy there. But we see they start up the mountain trick right there. So we're going to take a quick replay right here as we kind of look back towards that bot side fight. I mean, look at Aki. He's trying to heal, and specifically, this is what kind of the strength of this Yuumi Ezreal lane. If you don't lock them down, if you don't blow them up early, this is what happens. We get stuck. He's already full health again after that. We see in the backside over there, Tenacity TPs. He's able to kind of dodge out on some of those key ultimates that are coming out from the bot side here. And then Tenacity just lines up the culling right under that Luden's proc right there as we see Copy kind of slides in with the Scatter the Weak. But in that last fight for that dragon, we saw that they kind of started it up, and then they were kind of in this really awkward position where Serenok and his poke is actually really, really dangerous. And if they're not able to deal with Serenok, or if they're not able to close out on an objective, they get super hard punished on the backside there. They didn't even get the mid turret in that position. So 100 Thieves, you know, they're... Oh, wait, I'll hold that actually.
No. Oh, Akinoki, he's in a little bit of trouble. Chains of Corruptions will connect, but Kenvi was potentially looking for an opportunity to try to capitalize on the overextension coming up from Lebos, but he will have to back away. And a quick kill onto Akinoki, gonna allow them to at least pressure this top side. They may be looking towards sneaky little Baron. Don't think they have the damage just yet, and with Kenvi still up, they may just look for control.
Yeah, and typically what happens when you're behind, it is really hard for a support to get down vision because they have to roam with their squad, but most people, you know, they're already behind in some level, either whether it be gold. I'll hold that actually. Kenvi gets caught.
Ooh, that's going to be a little bit of trouble for him. A quick auto attack will secure that. If you ever see a Lux killing somebody with an auto, you know it's a pretty rough scenario to be in.
That passive is rough, man. That passive with the light binding, once you land it, it's like, okay. It actually does a quite a bit of damage. It's like a mini Lichbane proc. But like I was saying, it's really hard for the jungle and support to start to get vision if they're not strong. And typically when you have these engaged supports, you can say, all right, I'm willing to rough it out. I have enough health. I'm able to kind of tank at least a little bit of damage. But when you have someone like Yuumi, it actually exacerbates the issue so much because this Yuumi has to stay attached to a lot of people. It's actually incredibly dangerous for her to try to move on her own to try to secure vision. So with Yuumi in here, we're actually seeing a lot less vision priority come out from the side of 100 Thieves, and they kind of have to take this risk with the draft that they have here. So like we saw right there, Serenok and Chukis are able to lock down Kenvi, not able to do too much in that situation. And even Aki gets caught out there as we saw Lobos just, I mean, just completely blow him up right there, 1v1 style.
It's back to that mid lane for Akinoki. They really need to apply pressure to this mid lane turret. Once they get that down, that might open up the map for them to really start to play the map. Like you said earlier, very difficult with Yuumi to get that vision line forward. And considering you've got your mid lane and AD carry filled with items, they don't have space to buy the control wars right now. So very difficult scenario to be in if you're Yuumi. But now we're seeing good guy Tenacity finally opens up some space, buys himself a control ward. That's why he's the MVP, man. He makes.
Well, wait, let's see. Like, they got to win the game first to get the MVP. But yeah, obviously, like we were saying, the division priority is super key and something you have to give up. I'll hold that actually now as Kitsuo's in a really good position here. Aki.
Wow.
Okay.
Control Alt Delete is what Serenok pressed there to get rid of the Akinoki function, taking him out of the game completely. 3 kills up here for Serenok. Just when you think it's Corki season, Lux comes out of nowhere and he makes it look good.
Yeah, Frostfire with the with the task manager right there, just making sure that Akinoki doesn't get to play the game right there, and ends up taking him out. Now this should be Baron. They do have a little bit of a slower Baron just to how poke related their composition here is, so I'm expecting them to not actually do too much of this. They're ready to kind of immediately turn off this Baron like we see right here. Looks like they're trying to fight. They are missing some key ultimates here, so looks like they might turn off. And I'm expecting for 100 Thieves, just walk up and hit the turret, guys. It has 63 HP.
Ooh, they're just trying to get a little bit of poke in, but they just have so much wave clear on the side of Frostfire. Now, 100 Thieves have to back away.
Ooh.
They have the control, and they don't have the man advantage, but Akinoki has now joined the fray, and they could join within this poke battle. But still, it's Frostfire holding strong now with the dragon spawning very, very shortly. They may look for control. Tenacity in a little bit of a sticky situation. Dodges that snare. Oh my goodness, and Kitso, he's in trouble. Actually managing to get away. That's going to be the scuttle that falls as well. Not sure who it goes to. It will be over to the side of 100 Thieves. But oh wow, Choki's in trouble. Has to back away. The flash from Kenvi. They continue the chase. Air Jelly with the flash. Survives with a sliver HP, but Copy says not today and flashes through. Oh my goodness, Saranok! He will find the kill through the sightline, take him down, but still it's the dragon for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, and I was just about to say that, hey, that mid-fight actually was looking really good for themselves, as we're actually going to jump right into the replay for this dragon fight. I was wondering if Frostfire were going to get into a position where they can set up, but Kitsuo goes a little bit too far ahead, as we see right here, ends up having to jump really far out of this. Air Jelly is not quite there yet to try and set up barrels and set up themselves for a position here. Now, they've already used a lot of key ultimates as we see them try to fight back. Kenvi's able to find that onto Chukis, and now it's just completely retreating. Copy's able to flash and find himself a little bit more, and as Saranok, like we see, is able to find that last kill on the end there, and that should just be a lot of the members from Frostfire where they kind of pick up some scraps on the end right there. It's a beautiful fight for 100 Thieves. Fighting when this Frostfire team is on the back foot is exactly where you want to be. Frostfire was expecting them to at least try to get positioned in, because they want this team to actually come into them. They want Tenacity, Copy, and Aki to come into a kind of an awkward situation, and the beginning of that fight was actually really beautiful. Aki was completely cut off from his team. Lobaz and Chukis were actually doing a beautiful job at keeping him out of the fight. And like we see right there, Air Jelly and Saranok try to do as much as they can, but Tenacity is able to kind of wipe up the team, and Kenvi, being that frontliner, really the only frontliner for this team, doing an absolutely beautiful job to be able to get themselves that Mountain Drake.
Now things are starting to even out. We got two Drakes apiece. It's a little bit even in the side of gold between these two teams, and I honestly feel like 100 Thieves are on a little bit of a timer. Sorry, Frostfire are on a timer, because 100 Thieves, you know, once 5, 10, 20 minutes pass, this is where they will start to shine. You're going to have this insane front line in Kenvi that is just this unkillable tank, and you don't have a front line yourself. If some of your team members get caught out, if Labos or Saranok, if anyone gets caught out, it's bad news bears.
Yeah, it is going to feel pretty rough as the game continues on, and now we're actually reaching the part of the game where 100 Thieves are in the driver's seat. They've got a lot of strong items for themselves. I think Copy picking up the Banshees is incredibly important. I'll hold that as Kenvi.
Oh my goodness. He's still somehow surviving. That's going to be the Gargoyle Stoneplate as well as the Subjugate. He's going to have a couple of berries from the fruit, and he will be as right as rain, and all of that poke, he's fine. He'll just walk it off.
Yeah. And that's the importance of auto on this Yuumi. It makes this poke composition incredibly difficult if you're not able to find that burst. If they're not able to kill a member, we see someone like Kenvi who's able to hit the Subjugate to get bonus resistances and take some of the enemies here. He's able to survive, as well as just kind of like that passive healing. So now we're going to see them kind of do this Baron dance. Looks like Frostfire, they do have priority in mid lane, but Tenacity on the backside here, just going to look to poke out, clear the wave. They're looking for an engage.
Will they get the root? No, that's going to be the spell immune that comes through. And off to the side, we see Tenacity trying to find a flank. This guy's playing Lucian like he plays Set. He's always trying to find those cheeky angles from the side. But unfortunately, you're playing a Lucian. You're squishy. It's very difficult for you to get into that back line. And we're seeing Kenvi here taking a little bit of damage from that final spark coming out of Lux. They're just trying to get the flank here, but Kenvi, he's still alive, but Chukis will find that frag. Now Akinoki's trying to get a couple of those shots from the side. He's gonna have to cleanse that through. Kitso, he's gonna try to get that kill through, and just surviving blow after blow as 100 Thieves on the retreat, managing to make their way away. Kenvi will be the only one that falls, and Frostfire in the driver's seat looking for that tier 2 turret.
Looks like now Frostfire with pushing out their bot side and killing Kenvi, Now it looks like I thought they were going to try and go for Baron yet again. They don't have an incredibly quick one. So I think what they want to do here is go for a reset, make sure that they're prepped. We've got 50 seconds until this next Mountain Drake comes up. If they want, I would think that Frostfire would actually want to pick this up because like we were saying, there's not a lot of front lines here. Picking up these Mountain Drakes are actually not as key as maybe it seems. Obviously, they're not building a lot of resistances, so not able to utilize that 6% armor and magic resist bonus that you're getting from this. I'm a little bit worried that right now, Frostfire, they need to be finding more picks. They need to get a little bit more cheeky like we were talking about. Because as this game goes on, more and more of these Mountain Drakes are going to be at least more impactful and better felt on 100 Thieves next. But, I mean, we're really waiting towards Mountain Soul to be that win condition. They can't really start Baron, and their wave control has actually not been too well. We're not seeing too many turrets actually been taken. So most of these fights are just ending up a hold that actually now can be. Just taking a little bit of poke, but I mean, I guess your cat here is trying to make the best impression. You showed Itachi on stream, and now he's coming in with Auto in his best cosplay here.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we can show Itachi one more time before he runs off for the night. We're seeing Labaz. He's in a little bit of trouble. That's going to be the route that comes through. Tenacity off to the side of Fly Kitsuo, and they will just find two crucial kills. Copy looking for that third. A shot will come through. Final Spark not going to connect. Kennedy now still on the push as Tenacity here off to the side trying to make the hero play, but it's still Frostfire grouped together. As now 100 Thieves look towards that dragon and find themselves very likely, all things considering, dragon number 3.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I think that this right now is just going to be the Baron play right here. They have top lane priority. Bot wave is just now about to crash. It is going to push in their favor, as well as mid lane as soon as Copy's able to pick themselves up this. So this should just be a free Baron for them. They have pretty great damage with Trundle, Tenacity, as well as Akinoki here to try to poke it out. So thankfully, we're actually going to be seeing a TP here from Air Jelly. He doesn't have Cannon Barrage quite yet. Serenok's going to be coming up here. He does have the Final Spark. Got 3,000 health. I think they're going to try and fight them as they exit the Baron pit, but wouldn't be expecting too much from it.
Yeah, Trusha Barrage going to try to get a little bit more damage on the way out, but like you called it, from Dragon to Baron now, 100 Thieves, they were sitting in the back seat, but they unbuckled that seatbelt fast, and now they are pedal to the metal, looking towards those tier 2 turrets. They've got their full roster. They're ready to go. They've got a lot of items there on the board as well. We're seeing the Essence Reaver, the Bork, the IE here for Tenacity. What seemed like a little bit of a rough start. Now he's back in the swing of things.
Yeah, obviously you'd like to see that a little bit earlier into the game considering how expensive this itemization is, but Tenacity able to find himself back in the driver's seat like we were saying, has himself the bounty as well as take a look at that gold. He's just about even at this point. He's also got that 50 CS lead over his lane opponent here, so the lane advantage they were talking about, there are some scaling elements. I think that GP and Lux on the side of Frostfire are actually really beautiful when it comes to getting into that later game. They have low cooldowns and really high impact abilities, but on the opposite side here, we were waiting for when this 100 Thieves next team was going to be able to scale. We were looking at 30 to 35 minutes, and it seems like they're right now coming online. They had Akinoki, who was able to get at least kind of just completely neutralize that bot lane matchup, and it seems like now Copy has finally come on into his own in this Syndra, and most of these fights are looking really wonderful for them. Only about 1,000 gold lead. This game's actually been relatively close, but they are able to now start to siege on Frostfire's base.
Yeah, and that's kind of the key here for them. Frostfire, they had their chance, they had their opportunity to really try to extend their lead. They had all the time in the world, but now 30 minutes deep, it is 100 Thieves that are in a pretty good spot. We're going to see Copy caught out by the Lux. What a classic play, just the combo coming out in full swing, but it's still turret after turret as we do see Air Jelly. He is split in that bot side, so that's going to have to make 100 Thieves answer, or they will just continue to push. And you see Tenacity, he's going to be the one that recalls to answer back for that Air Jelly, and now they will try to back away, but waiting in the wings is Kitsuo. He's just off to the side, waiting for them to rotate through. And
oh, they're pinging him. They know where he is. They're trying to get the raid out. I think they're going to find him here.
Oh, no. He's in so much trouble. Subjugate going to come out as well. Akinoki will find a kill as well as Tenacity somehow in the bot lane. Put an Air Jelly in the grave, and now they will look towards that top side, maybe the inhibitor, if Frostfire can't answer it back.
Yeah, I think, you know, if they actually don't go down there, if Kitsuo and Air Jelly do not die in that situation, I actually think that the Copy death saves Frostfire at least for another few minutes. I'd say at maximum another 5 minutes there because they can't actually siege on. They're waiting for their waves to come in, as well as now they need to send someone to answer bot side. If Air Jelly ends up just living down there, bot ends up missing that. It could be him going down. And poke versus poke. Let's see who's better.
Yeah, Chain of Corruption not going to land. That was crucial. That's going to allow them to get the turret here. Kenby just tanking all of the damage. He is just a walking wall that they cannot break. And now with that top turret open, they may look towards that inhibitor as Kenby now setting up this mid lane. Or they will just back away. Copy, of course, online, but they may look towards to take some of those jungle creeps, back away, but really good stuff here for 100 Thieves coming back in this game after a really rough start against Frostfire.
For sure. It was looking a little bit rough, but they're just waiting for minion waves here. And one of the saving graces for this team composition is how much kind of global or at least semi-global wave clear that they have. The Lux and the Gangplank actually add, again, a lot of utility. I love these picks into this. But, I mean, they're in kind of complete kind of closure mode. They're like, okay, we need to stop the bleeding. Specifically, Kitsuo is going to start getting starved out of his jungle, as after every siege, we're going to be seeing 100 Thieves next constantly being taking more and more of that jungle. And with 20 seconds on this dragon, I'm expecting for this to be the make or break moment here for Frostfire. If this last Drake is taken, you have this shield that's going to keep recurring and keep negating a lot of poke. And when you have Yuumi who's able to kind of fill in the gap of, okay, well, we poke them down, but they still have that shield, you have now just full health and you have a bunch of 300, 400% or 400 health shield that is incredibly difficult to deal with. This is exactly where we're going to have to see Frostfire kind of fight for their claim into the game. And they're not really even in position here.
Yeah, they're trying to poke and prod their way through. They will lose the Dragon Soul. I mean, at that point, I don't think that is something that you really want to give up. You definitely don't want the hammer to come into the nail that'll close the coffin. You want to try to still fight it through, but they will continue to try to poke and poke and poke and try to set up some of these CC combos. But, I mean, it hasn't really been working that well so far, as 100 Thieves have been able to break through that strategy and open up the map for themselves. Now with the Dragon Soul, they are as tankier than ever.
Yeah, for sure. Specifically, obviously, Kenvi making the most out of that. And I think even some of the, more defensive itemization from Copy and Aki get themselves a lot more when it comes to that gold efficiency. We're talking about Banshees. We're talking about this Maw of Malmortius that has now come in for Aki. They're going to get a lot more out of these defensive kind of items because of just triple Mountain Drake here for themselves. So now what I want to see from 100 Thieves is how cleanly can they close this game out? They actually were able to kind of dig themselves out of an early deficit that was really detrimental to their game plan anyway. And Tenacity, he's level 18. He's rocking 4.5 items right now. He's got his QSS, so shouldn't be looking to get too hard poked out. We're looking at this Baron, and really, where does Frostfire kind of go from here? Because it feels like they're just kind of slowly bleeding out of this game, and they're saying, all right, we're going to farm, but with no objective. We're farming to get some items, but where is that breakpoint going to come from Frostfire?
Yeah, you speak of breakpoint, they have a Magi Soul Stealer on the side of Serenok. Don't think that will help you, but if you're able to land kill after kill, it'll definitely be helpful. But using all of your abilities onto Kenvi there, not able to find them, should kind of tell you the story of how this Magi expects to be. We see Tenacity here in a 1v1 against Air Jelly. It's at this point, it's not even fair. It's not even funny as they now look towards that mid lane. Lobos, he's in a little bit of trouble. He does have the Chain of Corruption. He's going to try to use to combo that, but there's going to be a root going out onto Akinoki. He will still be able to push on through. They will just do shot after shot up against this Frostfire roster. And somehow, some way, Kenvi, through all of it, will survive, but he will get taken down quite quickly. Now Kitsuo on the other side. Akinoki in a lot of trouble as he will be poked down as almost Kitsuo falls. As Akinoki's still alive, he's going to try to poke his way through, turning his attention towards that mid lane. But still not enough damage coming through Lobos. He's off to the side as Tenacity still alive as well. Akinoki now, he's going to Arcane Shift over, looking towards that 1v1, but that's going to be, it's so close. But here comes the Resurrection, and now he is as good as gone as Tenacity will finish and seal the deal. What a really interesting fight between these two teams, with, I think, Frostfire coming out on top.
Yeah, again, they buy themselves a lot of time. Specifically, I think that this is still a really great play here from 100 Thieves. Yes, they actually end up getting caught out, and specifically Kenvi goes a little bit too far, is not able to heal all the way through some of this damage coming out from Frostfire, but specifically now they've opened up opposite sides of the map. Both top and bot inhibitor are available for 100 Thieves. They just need to break into it, and that is where they're going to find a little bit of trouble, as constantly the Frostfire squad should look to just poke them out and keep these lanes kind of pushed at their neck, or the inhibitor turret. What I'm expecting coming out now, they're going to take the Baron from 100 Thieves and look to close out this game. I'm kind of worried here for Frostfire. It's been looking good. They've held on to the game, but I mean, if you're just holding on, you're not making winning plays. You're simply reacting, and you're not, you're not progressing in the game state right now. So they need to be able to set up, and they haven't been able to find that position for themselves, as Kitsuo goes down 50%.
Wow. That is a lot of damage coming out from the Ezreals. We're at a point now where he may be difficult to outdeal, but that Baron dance not really going to go anywhere, as 100 Thieves will just look towards pushing in that mid lane, as they are just looking to keep Frostfire back in their base. Tenacity off to the side. He has a lot of pressure in that bot side. And of course, like you mentioned earlier, there's an inhibitor available. If he's left alone for too long, he will definitely take it. They will gladly trade an inhibitor for this Baron, but now we'll see a little bit of engage here. Air Jelly going to pop that cannon barrage, but he's in a little bit of trouble as the 1v1 will come through. 100 Thieves will back away, and that's a free inhib for an indecisive Frostfire that can't make their way through into the Baron pit, and now they will be on the retreat, and they lost an inhibitor for free.
I mean, yeah, I mean, they really can't do anything in this situation. I'll hold that low boss.
Oh my god, Tenacity! Where did he come from? And now Kitsuo also in trouble. It's just kill after kill here for the side of 100 Thieves. They are looking dominant. Now they are pushing and making their way through the base. Kenvi just an unstoppable wall. Air Jelly now, he's going to be the second to fall. Kenvi's just going to deal maybe not a lot of damage, but Tenacity going to try to focus way through. He's going to find a kill. He's still fighting him somehow. It's just too, I wouldn't call them beefy, but Air Jelly's taking quite some time to fall. Him. Yeah, he's just still alive. Oh my god, he's just, this is the race of a lifetime somehow.
They're ending the game, but I mean,
yeah,
go for it. Keep going.
Oh, come on. That was so close. He's determined. Where's the pillar? Here comes the pillar. That's the red smite. Okay, there's the pillar. Okay, where's the scurvy? Where's the orange? And, oh my god, he heals again. Okay, he's still going. There. Will he get the kill before the game ends? Otto with the sneaky steal there. We'll find the frag.
Wait a minute. They gotta end the game.
Yeah, they will.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah.
Okay, I was really worried right there for the side of these decks. They were kind of playing with their food a little bit there towards the end, but they're able to find themselves the victory right there. And we were talking about Tenacity. I thought it was going to be the tale of Pelagius the Wise, the one they don't tell you, but it kind of felt like Cotton Eye Joe. They lost track of him. Where did he come from? Where did he go? All of a sudden, Tenacity's blowing up your backline. He's sitting right there on top of low boss. The culling does work. And I mean, from an early game, I was looking a little bit iffy. 100 Thieves next are able to kind of pull it in with a great scaling as the game continued to go on.
I'm almost certain that every single person in the chat was like, yeah, 100 Thieves got in the bag, Frostfire, who are these guys? Yep. But at the end of the day, I think they put up a pretty solid fight, and I'm really excited to see what Game 2 looks like for them, what the draft looks like, where do they switch things up. I am getting a lot of demand from the cat. I don't think that he's looked away. He's unbothered. He doesn't want to be involved anymore. I'll bring him out later, I promise. But nevertheless, I still think that Frostfire did a really good job, and 100 Thieves, fortunately for them, they did an even better job, right? They held on in that early game. They made the mid game their own, and then they just dominated and closed things out in the late.
Yeah, and that was kind of like what we were looking at was, hey, does this team look to kind of scale? They're waiting for Lucian to come into their own. We're looking at kind of 15, 20 minutes where they have a lot of great first item power spikes within that bot lane. Where are we going to see it? And we're actually kind of saw something a little bit different. We saw Kenvi going for that Trundle, and we actually saw that while, yes, they have the Kha'Zix who was doing work in topside, it actually didn't really amount to anything. We saw a bunch of kills, and then this Kha'Zix runs into a position where, who do I kill? Yuumi makes it so that they're never isolated, so now I'm just freely countered away from my passive. And even though the Gangplank, who's waiting with his ultimate, I mean, to be realistic, that Cannon Barrage does massive amounts of work against someone like Syndra and Lucian. It actually ends up being kind of a kind of nullified when we see towards the end of the game that with that poke build, it slowly starts to kind of taper off towards the end of the game. And as 100 Thieves, they just scaled. They just waited. They were like, okay, fine. Look, our top side didn't go as we planned. We can still kind of pivot. And that's where we saw people like Copy, and specifically, I'd love to give props over to Otto and Aki. This bot lane was really, really rough for them. And I think they did exactly what they needed to and didn't give up a lot when it came to resources towards that bot side. So really great job and fantastic work between the two of them.
I mean, it's still Serenok with the highest damage to champions in the game. But does that mean that poke composition that they put together was going to be able to work against 100 Thieves? Maybe in a more dominant early game, it might have. It's possible. But 100 Thieves have the tools, they have the strategies to hold on, and they did just that for this game. I think we're going to go to a quick little break just to get these two teams strategized. They're going to figure things out. I will promise I'll bring the cat back. The cat's okay, just taking a quick nap. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Simo, Alk Battery. We're going to go to a quick little break. Don't you go anywhere. We've got more UPL action coming your way in just a bit.
Do this anymore. Now I'm lost without you. You drive me crazy out my mind. How'd you do this every time? Now I'm lost without you. Used to be the one I talk to when I'm sad. Can't you see now tainted love is all we have? Our issues run so deep, now when I try to sleep I feel so bad. I should leave, and by the time it's done I'll be gone. So distant when you're home, always hanging by your phone. Do I even know you? And I get paranoid sometimes, 'cause I know that you ain't mine, and I'm lost without you. Used to be the one I talk to when I'm sad. Can't you see now tainted love is all we have? Our issues run so deep, now when I try to sleep I feel so bad. I should leave, and by the time it's done I'll be gone.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain.
guys asked for more cat. I have given you more cat. Here's cat number 2. Okay, it's obviously not having a good time. I'm gonna try to keep it around. No, it does not. Okay, it does not like the camera. All right, we tried. You have no idea how long I was holding that cat. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to game number 2. 100 Thieves going up against Frostfire. Game number 1. 100 Thieves managed to take the victory. Cat's gone. Time to go eat. Time to go take a poop. Whatever. The other cat's still chilling. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a game on our hands. Both teams are moments away from the draft. Alk, talk to me about what Frostfire can do different this game in order to make things a little easier for themselves.
I mean, hopefully they don't let the cat out of the bag. I mean, we've already kind of seen that kind of happen for this game 1. We saw Otto do an amazing job on the Yuumi. But this time I kind of want to see some engage. I'm going to be looking at it specifically from either support or top lane because what we've seen from Kitsuo, at least in days past, and from just from today, I think we're probably not going to get an engaged jungler coming out from there. So the most engaged we're probably going to actually see is either something like Elise or Lee Sin. Other than that, I kind of want to. I think they actually did pretty well for themselves. I think with how they kind of focused towards topside, and if this is the kind of style we're actually going to see Kenvi, then I'm going to actually expect them to have a really great topside matchup and look to do a lot of damage where 100 Thieves typically finds a lot of their advantages. So this time, I mean, I'm really cool with either seeing an Alistar or Nautilus. We can see a lot, I think, depending on what bans kind of get dropped, because Jarvan was one of the key ones that I was going to be looking at, but got banned last game. And now that we have a full set of bans, I think maybe jungle might actually be a little bit closer, and we'll see what kind of happens as we kind of come through on the draft.
Yeah, now that I think now that Frostfire have bans to kind of play around with, we might see a little bit of a different game. Okay. Getting word from our producers in New York that they are going to be banless by 1. Okay, so that's still it's still a lot more than what they had last time. Okay,
it's more than 5 ban losses.
It's more than 5.
It's
more than 5.
0.
Yes, it's definitely yes. I'm just very excited to see what Frostfire can cook up this time. As you mentioned, it was a lot closer than I think people definitely gave Frostfire credit for. So we might see something either Frostfire try something new and get absolutely washed, or they keep it just as competitive as they did in that last game.
Yeah, I mean, specifically, I think they just kind of got stranglehold out of the game. They had a composition that was looking to try and win around 25 minutes, and they were not really able to execute. And we actually see them get kind of washed out of that game slowly as the tide of 100 Thieves next comes through. And I'm interested to see as we get now into pick and ban. Now that they have blue side, they can give themselves that kind of first priority if they want to pick top side. I'm expecting Gangplank to actually be somewhere on the table here.
We're seeing yet another anti-ban come through. Again, that's just they're getting their first ban out of the way. 100 Thieves not dealing with that Varus the second time around. And as well as the Syndra from the side of Frostfire, I don't want to deal with it on copy. We may see him on Corki duty or his favorite pick, I'm sure, Ornn. We might see the Ornn mid. I doubt it. However, still a possibility. We see Zoe as well being taken off the table. Just a lot for both these teams.
Yeah, and I think actually if we do tend to see some of these, like you're saying, Ornn, I think if we actually see some more impactful mid and top laners, I actually think that a really interesting meta, if we see Gangplank kind of drop off the table, is potentially we could see Sylas, which is something that we've seen both Serenok and Tenacity kind of pull out. So I'd actually be interested to see if this is a champion that kind of comes out as 100 Thieves. They stick with the same ban rotation of Varus, Zoe, and Graves. Actually, last time they did get rid of Xerath last time. So kind of sticking in that towards the bottom of the alphabet. But now Frostfire, they've got themselves what they wanted here in the Aphelios first pick. Not what I would have preferred as a kind of a strong first pick, but does give them some option if you do scale into the late game, unlike that the poke Varus that we saw last game.
We're now seeing 100 Thieves rotate over to what they will pick. I think the Aphelios is not as good as it used to be, at least in terms of a first pick, compared to what it was, obviously, after a few iterations of bans coming through. And now we are just waiting for that pick. We're going to see the Misfortune, usually what answers the Aphelios, and the Jarvan. A good combo for both those champions.
Yeah, Jarvan definitely a huge pickup here for 100 Thieves. On the opposite side here, Frostfire, going to expect for them to pick up their bot side and their jungler here. I think Gragas would be kind of on the table. Again, Lee Sin Elise could be a potential. We're not quite on 10-10, so we might not see Nidalee this time, but things like Thresh, I would even potentially even expect either Nautilus or Bard, but it looks like Thresh is going to be the lock-in, something that will punish the strut and specifically try to look for some of the weaknesses that Misfortune has earlier onto the game. And now for Frostfire, I'm expecting a strong jungler. If not, they could try to pick up some kind of blind pickable top lane, although I'm not expecting for them to kind of go for this. Gnar and Jax are what come to mind for someone like Air Jelly, but I think they're actually just going to pick up a LeBlanc.
Yeah, Serenok didn't really have a bad game last game. It was just more so 100 Thieves, like we talked about earlier, was able to come out on top. Let's see what the last pick is here for 100 Thieves, as they are ready to lock it in. The Nautilus hover. Nautilus has been around for quite some time over these past few patches, and he is coming back here on the Rift for 100 Thieves. Pretty good overall champion. Great engage, great disengage. He's just got so many tools on his tool belt, and specifically with Misfortune, he's going to be doing a pretty good job in keeping her alive.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried here for Frostfire, as they have a lot of ways of doing a lot of damage, but they actually need to be able to keep Aphelios and LeBlanc alive against someone like Jarvan and Nautilus, which tend to be huge counters when it comes to getting into these fights. The Dredge line specifically for Nautilus provides a huge pain for the side of Frostfire to try to deal with. Trying to just get rid of some of that mid pull, some things that are going to try to go even with LeBlanc. And I think at this position for Frostfire, depending on what 100 Thieves picks here as we kind of round out the last couple of bans, I think Gangplank would actually do beautiful things for trying to keep Misfortune away from this team.
And we'll see what they end up locking in. Victor, pretty good overall control mage. Corki going to be... yeah, there's the lock-in. Corki on Corki duty. He's going to have the package in tow at some point or another, but talk to me about how that matchup does up against LeBlanc. We talked about how they wanted to get rid of the Azir, get rid of the Victor. How does Corki do against LeBlanc?
Corki has pretty great itemization going into LeBlanc, can just pick up that early Hex Drinker, kind of sit on it, as well as Nullifying Orb can do a lot to try and stop some of this matchup. I think LeBlanc will have a little bit of early kill pressure, and as the game continues on, we're going to have to watch to see whether or not Copy gets caught out versus Serenok. But on the opposite side here, Frostfire, they're picking themselves up a pretty strong top side here with Kindred and Aatrox. I think this is really beautiful for the way that they want to... Not again. Not the Kha'Zix. No. I mean, look, the Kha'Zix actually did wonderful, and I think with Aatrox, this is potentially a composition that can do really well. Still lacking a little bit of a front line, a little bit of an engage, but I think that that's where a bruiser champion like Aatrox and someone like Thresh can really start to fill in some of those gaps. It's no Ornn, and I'm actually really surprised that Ornn makes it through both games, even with 5 bans missing. I'm kind of like, well, this champion actually hasn't been touched in a little bit, and the level 14 change is kind of a pain. But oh no,
Give it to me, man. Give it to me.
I mean,
give it to me. Yes, tenacity. That's what I'm talking about. From one Toronto man to another, locking in that Aurelia, putting on a show. That's what you love to see in pick and ban.
There we go. There's the matchup that we've been waiting for. Tenacity saying, all right, we want to play some carry top lanes. We'll play the Lucian versus Gangplank. And this time around, Frostfire, they have the choice. They're saying, what do we want to play top lane? Do we want to play tanks? Looks like we're going to just keep going. And the statement that I came into this series was, if you try to fight fire with fire, you're going to get burned versus 100 Thieves next. Every single time that we've seen them go up against these kind of carry top laners, it hasn't gone well. Yes, they have a little bit of a weaker early game like we saw in the game 1, but in the end, they're able to kind of get around that hump and find themselves a victory. And in this time, they've let through such a key champion in Tenacity's Aurelia, something that has just kind of been like the boogeyman of a lot of players going up against this guy in topside. So I'm really kind of... I'm excited to see it. I mean, there's not a lot of times we get to see Aurelia for Tenacity, so I'm hoping he's able to live up to his name on this one.
Yeah, it honestly feels like when he locked in that Aurelia, it was just, it's that old YouTube video. Psych, that's the wrong number, and then just the whole crowd goes wild. That's just what it feels like to me. Tenacity locking in something that he's so comfortable with up against an Aatrox of all champions. It's going to be one hell of a game between these two teams. And I'm excited to see how this top side ends up playing up, because it does seem like Kitsuo plays near that top side, or at least he did last game. He might not do that this time, but Air Jelly may need the help, especially on the Aatrox.
This is going to be a game where I'm expecting for topside to be explosive. I mean, Aatrox, how many times has this champion been kind of kicked down into the dirt and then just is able to live through so much through Conqueror, through the innate healing in his E passive, as well as his Deathbringer stance. It's just absolutely insane. And then we see Aurelia on the opposite side. I'm expecting for Tenacity with Kenvi this time around. This is not a jungler who's like, all right, I'm willing to farm up. I'm playing Trundle. I'm looking to just farm up my jungle camps, get through all of my clear, and then maybe we look for something. Maybe we look for a little bit of a scuttlebutt. No, we're looking at Jarvan, level 2, level 3. That pathing is going to be so key. Kitsuo is going to have to try and just stop this early aggression coming out from 100 Thieves, and they still have some great scaling elements for themselves. I'm a little bit worried as they don't have too many ways to look for a siege, as really Corki and Misfortune are kind of their only options, and they're looking at massive team fights between the two of them to really kind of settle the dust and see who comes out on top.
In the actual draft, Poom was hovering over Fiddlesticks. Maybe in another lifetime we'll see a Fiddlesticks support come through. I personally would love to see some new Fiddlesticks on the stage, but he was obviously just memeing us. He also hovered over a little bit of Ornn, not really seeing him a whole lot in the support lane, but maybe one day. Poom has been known to have a lot in the tank cooking at all times. He's always got the kettle boiling. Okay, so now that we know what the two teams are, now that we know what the two rosters are in terms of champion selection, talk to me about some of the win conditions that we might experience. And let's start with Frostfire, since they are playing on the blue side.
I mean, this team's just looking to fight, right? Like, they have amazing ways to try to look for engages. We're specifically, I think, going to be keeping an eye on Air Jelly and where he kind of finds those TP flanks, because typically with the GP, you don't really even have to interact. All you have to do is kind of stay in a side lane, hit your cannon barrage, and you're looking at team fight victory right there. But Air Jelly, I think, needs to kind of step up in this one, and we're looking at this kind of long. The fights are going to be longer than maybe 10 to 15 seconds. You're waiting for Aatrox to kind of ramp up with all of these Qs. We're waiting for LeBlanc to kind of dip and dive out of fights with Distortion, and Lobaz needs to get to a point where we're looking at 2 to 3 items, and he's going to power spike incredibly hard with Infinity Edge, and specifically Runons. Now on the opposite side here for 100 Thieves next, we're looking at kind of this really weird composition where they have people that are looking to engage in Aurelia, Jarvan, and Nautilus and keep them locked down long enough. They have Misfortune, Bullet Time, and Corki able to rip through this front line. I think bot lane actually here for 100 Thieves is going to be incredibly dominant. Aphelios has no damage to match Misfortune. In between love taps and just Nautilus in general, is going to be incredibly difficult for the Frostfire bot lane to walk up and contest for waves early on.
I mean, they first picked the Aphelios. They are obviously looking for some sort of win condition through that, but it's very difficult to play around in Aphelios. When you pick a jungler, an assassin jungler, and then this kind of like this really interesting Aatrox pick as well, and then LeBlanc who's just trying to there's no one there fighting with Aphelios. He's going to be kind of on his lonesome. And I think 100 Thieves definitely coming out on top in the draft. We'll have to see how the game plays out. But ladies and gentlemen, before we throw it to a quick break, we want to talk about Kono keyboards. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are looking to take your game to the next level, it all starts with your peripherals. From keyboards to keycaps, mice, and more, our friends at Kono have got you covered. Kono works with the world's best designers, inventors, and makers to bring you some of the best gaming peripherals around. Kono have been huge supporters of us here at Upsurge and have made generous contributions to our prize pools. If you need a new keyboard, check out Hexgear's X1 RGB low-profile Bluetooth mechanical keyboard. You can use the discount UpsurgeGG for 7% off your first order. For more information, head over to kono.store to check out all that they have to offer. That's kono.store. Kono, discover amazing products. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a quick little break for the spectator delay. We'll be right back. Don't you go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Game number 2, 100 Thieves up against Frostfire. 100 Thieves on the red side and Frostfire on the blue side, ready for the first minute of gameplay. Both teams now getting locked and loaded. They are pushing onto the Rift. Bit of a 5-point spread. We're going to see the Demacian standard. Kitsuo going to spam a couple of emotes, but knowing that he's off there. Will they invade? I don't think so. Just getting information. But Poom here is as well going to try to push in, get a little bit of vision coverage, and they're going to get a ward onto that red buff.
Yeah, important to note, we actually do have the substitution of Poom coming in here. So no auto. That's typically what we've seen actually from 100 Thieves. I think they kind of swap back and forth pretty consistently for getting Poom and auto about similar amounts of time.
Oh, no way, Poom. The man. He's so aggressive. He's so angry. He just wants to scrap.
Got the aftershock off, boys. Let's go. I mean, he trades a little bit of damage, but nothing that can't just be kind of similarly kind of just regenerated from Serenok. So great job already kind of getting the 1 out of 100% hook rate already coming out from Poom, trying to impress, trying to show off versus someone like Otto. Although, to be fair, Otto got put on Yumi duty, so you can only do so much.
Yeah, I don't actually. We're seeing a little bit of a, something a little interesting here from the side of Air Jelly. Tenacity falling a little low, and it's just going to be Q after Q for the side of Air Jelly, and he will back away now, as now it might be a little bit too dangerous to stick around. But Kenvi might be here for that level 2 gank, but he's just going to stick around. Maybe we'll head towards that blue buff. But great start from Air Jelly, able to pressure Tenacity, but he will be back up in HP using a stack of his corrupting potion.
Something interesting to note here is because of this, Kitsuo goes from 1 buff, immediately tries to go for his blue buff, and Kenvi is there. Looks like they're going to fight. We're going to potentially see a smite fight over here, but I don't think Kitsuo wants to contest. He's waiting for the flag and drag. He gets it.
Wow. He's not going to get it. Void Spikes as well, going to do a little bit of damage and push him away, but you hate to see it from the side of Kitsuo. Wins that smite fight, but Kenvi wasting so much time there. Not able to go out into his favor, but he still has the rest of his jungle to kind of go off of. But he actually did not have smite, I think, for that fight, or he either smited a little too early.
Yeah, I think he smited a little bit early, and I think the real key thing here is because of that topside trade that he went for, where he may have tried to help Tenacity, it actually ends up hurting his jungle path for the time being. He actually has to end up going for a pretty early back here, picks up boots just to try and respond, but now it lets Kitsuo get a pretty nice, relaxed jungle, continues with the path that he was probably going to go anyway, where he's able to take both buffs, he's able to take his wolf camp, able to then rotate down in the bot side, and this is where some of that early trading is going to be felt by someone like Kenvi early on. So now we're going to see probably going to be the next gank is going to be sitting probably around mid and bot, as 100 Thieves, both of their waves are about to bounce. Specifically mid lane is about to bounce back, so could see a gank onto Serenok, although ganking LeBlanc is notoriously difficult, and really we'd be looking at someone like Lobaz and Chukis, where this is just a wave that Aki and Pume have done absolutely wonders to try and keep this wave pushed and kind of just keep kill priority over the both of them.
Yeah, and what we know from Kitsuo is that last game wasn't really around that bot side. Might be the tail of the tape here as well. Constantly up in that top side, but Air Jelly applying a lot of pressure and keeping Tenacity up against the turret. Started off with a freeze, but then pushed in. But still CS, even across the board, not really a whole lot to kind of be afraid of for the side of Tenacity, still keeping it even. But last game it was quite even in the top side as well, and what started to turn around was the pressure from Kitsuo, and he's nearby, but the recall, and he'll be able to get away.
So Kenvi has actually gone for a little sneaky gank here. He's able to go through fog. Here we go.
Oh baby, the flash
oh
hook
my god, Chukis.
onto Chukis, but the hook as well. back onto Poom will get him away. They use a lot of summoners, their flash and ignite gank here in the mid lane. Copy under turret. They will try to do damage, but he will be able to make his way away. So 2 summoners for 2 summoners burned. 2 flashes down, though, for the side of Frostfire. It can be a very difficult time in the bot lane.
That was a beautiful gank setup there by the side of 100 Thieves next. I think that just the idea of how they went for it, Kenvi goes for, I'll hold that actually, Copy in a little bit of a dangerous position.
Oh, no. He's in too much trouble here, but still, Saranok off to the side was looking for a potential snipe, but not going to get it quite yet. Labaz, a little bit of damage here onto the side of Akinoki, but it's still a very interesting state of the game. I just feel like everyone's in this limbo roam, and they haven't really committed to something just quite yet.
Yeah, it's a little bit early in the game, but again, Chukis, I think, did wonderful. I think if that wave ends up being the wave where we see Frostfire go down and start to find their bot lane in a little bit of a hole, then that's when we say, 100 Thieves, they're looking really strong right here. But because of just how Chukis is able to kind of flay and end that gank, that is basically almost, it feels almost game saving, as it prevents this Aphelios, who's already down as it is, from going much further into the hole. But we're seeing across the lanes right now, a little bit of the first couple backs have come through. Saranok most Keely has picked up his Lost Chapter. We're seeing Copy with his Phage, specifically Air Jelly with an early Bramble Vest kind of itemization, so is going to be lacking a little bit in the damage department, but his base stats on Aatrox are just so high that it kind of negates that. It's just fine. You're also going to be lacking in cooldown reduction, which is super key for this champion, so don't think we're going to be seeing too much when it comes to trading up here.
Yeah, but it's still Tenacity at least trying. We saw a couple of blows back and forth in that top side. Obviously, the recall coming through, but Kenvi now on a champion that doesn't really require a whole lot of power farming. We'll see what his next move is. Copy here in a little bit of trouble. We're seeing a quick roam from the bot lane as well, but they may turn their attention on towards that dragon. It is the Cloud Drake here to start us off, meaning will not be a Cloud Soul, so we have the option of the mountain, the ocean, or the Inferno. We'll see what it is once Kenvi's able to take a little bit of an early dragon for them 6 minutes in. And they will be able to secure it as Gitsuo just still on the map, just farming those creeps.
Doesn't have a lot of waves to gank. I think that with just some of the position, bot lane would be the most potential. We'll see Saranok go in here. No distortion. Great job.
Yeah, he's going to try to make things a
no.
little fancy. He gets the flash in, but not fancy enough, as Copy will come out on top, get the kill. Oh, sorry, it's Kenvi who gets the kill, but still both summoners burn for the side of Saranok. Not able to secure it. Gotta be rough now. They'll shove in that wave and make things a little easier for Copy.
Yeah, just barely there does the chain not land, or the chain does not kind of persist. He tries to get the flash to keep him within chain range, but it breaks and ends up being that the weakest link in that moment was Saranok. Ends up going down, giving over that kill to Kenvi. Like you were saying,
Wow.
trading up in the top side.
Yeah, maybe not even a little bit of a trade. It's looking like a hard commit for the side of Tenacity, but taken down to a very small sliver of HP. Air Jelly will survive, but Kenvi now smells the blood in the water, and the shark fin is out.
Here.
He's ready to get locked and loaded. Here comes the dive, but it's still no turret aggro. That's Kenvi that'll take it, but Tenacity with a quick kill. And a quick kill to start us off here. That's got to feel a lot better than that last game.
Yeah, and specifically, I love the way that was kind of timed. Tenacity is able to do a lot of damage in that situation. Not only that, but they're also able to find themselves in a pretty great position. I'll hold that. Bot lane getting engaged upon.
Yeah, there's actually a flank as well on the top side. That'll be a route that comes out for Kenvi. He will very likely be able to make it away, but still Tenacity that's turning up the heat, but it's not enough to burn down Saranok as he will walk away. And then engage in the bot lane as well, not really going into favor. Both ultimates use bullet time, as well as the depth charge for Poom, but not able to connect. Labaz is low enough, but still not really just quite yet.
Take a look at just how damaging that is. I mean, not only are you 10 CS down, it kind of hurts, you're also a full level down, but specifically Misfortune is this champion where you get a lot of kind of free attack damage thanks to your Love Taps passive, so your auto attacks are going to hurt, and using that double up right there to just put the pain onto the Frostfire bot lane. As we're just seeing them, they have to constantly take these inopportune backs across the lanes. It looks like we're actually seeing a little bit of a kind of a lane swap here as Saranok holding that top side. They are going to trade this for a Rift Herald early on. I mean, if this is just how the early game is going, this is a much improved 100 Thieves coming in.
Yeah, definitely feeling a lot better. And I wonder if it has anything to
Mhm.
do with the substitution or just the draft. We're seeing that they're pulling off the Rift Herald. They're not able to secure it. The pressure from Kenvy alone. The man walks in blindly. Well, not blindly. He had the Demacian standard to give him a little bit of information, but still walks in valiantly, able to scout out the information. That'll push them off of the Rift Herald. And he's just going to keep going. Kitsuo playing a very dangerous game here. He's almost, you know, maybe a little too low, but will able to kind of lifesteal some of that back with the Void Spikes. But now, 100 Thieves walks in, says, no, that's your Rift Herald. That's my Rift Herald. And they'll just look like they'll take it.
Also able to get a lot of free gold for themselves, specifically Copy doing a lot in that case, where he's able to not only push for some turret damage, but he's getting himself further and further when it comes to advantages in CS. Now, we take a look at bot side here. I was actually really interested to see where Aki was going to come out of base, because Pume, sitting here with the Moby Boots, has a lot when it comes to mobility, and is able to kind of roam around the map. And Misfortune is also another champion that is known to have this. Actually, Rift Herald even being procced in mid lane. This is an 11-minute Rift Herald being procced. This should just be the first tier 1 turret being taken down.
Yeah, but still, Serenok has something to say about it. He'll try to get a little bit of damage onto Copy, and now with that last and final swing, Shelly will say goodnight, turret. We'll take it down now. Boom just waiting in the wings, standing on a ward, will be spotted out. And Frostfire not looking as strong as they did in that first game. Kitsuo was the man behind all of the damage and all of the leading charge in the early game, but now it's Kenvy who's back in form, playing on a jungler that can do a lot in the early game.
I mean, more importantly, I think because they have much more of a cut and paste kind of engaged style here for 100 Thieves, it's much more comfortable for them to go for a contest. Hey, we don't have to worry about, oh, I'll hold that Pume. Oh, no.
Boom.
Here it comes.
Oh, but still, that's the depth charge that will connect. And Chuki's, he's in a lot of trouble. He's going to try to survive. Akinoki will find the frag. It's still a boss that's down to him. And that'll be the double kill that goes over to him now. Kitsuo, he's trying to do what he can, but that's the stopwatch that'll keep Poom alive. And all is redeemed after he missed the flash hook, but still they end up with 3 kills in the bot lane.
Yeah, it felt a little bit magnetic, but I think it was just a north-to-north kind of connection, not a north-to-south. But in the end, they're able to kind of completely wipe Frostfire off the side of the map right there. That was a beautiful execution. And speaking of flawless executions, Tenacity trying to look for someone on the air jelly.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, you blink and you miss it. You blink and you miss it. You give Tenacity his champion, and he's going to feel like, listen, the coaching staff at 100 Thieves, they look over and they say, okay, you can play 10 Ornn games and you get 1 Irelia game, okay? That's how we'll compromise, all right? You play 10 Ornn games, 5
last game.
Lucian
Where's
games.
the Ornn game?
Yeah, and you get 1. You can just get 1 Irelia game, all right, Tenacity? Let's have a look at that replay.
Look at this bot side. So much is invested into low boss, and again, he's not able to interact. He does have great guns when it comes to a team fight, but he's not able to do too much. Take a look at how much is just being completely mitigated by this engage. Akinoki with a great bullet time, which just completely zones him out of the fight. Thresh Chuki's trying to look for something, but really can't interact when he's in the middle of a massive bullet time. As now we're coming back to the picture here. Chuki's coming in. He's just going to be able to hold this. And look at the wave state right here. Frozen right in front of the turret here for 100 Thieves next. Lobos cannot step forward. He has no flash. He has no Calibrum to try and focus. Try to at least give him some range. So just going to be picking up experience. This is exactly what you wanted from 100 Thieves. I'll hold that now as Kenvy just takes a nice stroll into the enemy jungle. Says hi to Serenok, but he's going to flag and drag his way out. Not too much for him to get on the bot side here. Potentially they could look for a dive as Dredgeline is available here, and a couple flashes from 100 Thieves next could potentially mean that Frostfire's bot lane gonna get zoned out.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that package. Just barely, but a beautiful Cataclysm. That'll knock up both of them, and that is just the combo of dreams that'll come up for them, but can be in a little bit of trouble. Air Jelly coming in from the side. Bullet time. Gonna take Serenok low. He will pop the clone, and now Boom still doing God's work as he will find kill after kill, and there's the Quadra coming out from Copy. He tried to connect with the rocket. Oh, no, the shutdown goes over to Chuki's. Oh, my goodness.
Serenok Man, that was so close. As we've got even a replay immediately available right after Copy gets his quadra kill. Look at this engage. Now, Lobos, he's able to get out with the Dark Passage, but it's not enough, as even with the entire 100 Thieves crew lining up, they come in with a great Cataclysm. And then take a look at this bullet time. Air Jelly cannot get closer to this team, and we even see Serenok utilize the clone to at least try and keep them double up, kind of setting up Chukis as kind of takes him down. Quadra here ticking away. He's thinking, okay, I've got Corrupting Pots. Got a massive fight coming in.
Yeah, we're going to hop right back to Live Tenacity. He's in a little bit of trouble. He's in a 1v3, but will he
Oh.
dwindle the odds? No. It's the shutdown coming out from Serenok. They will find a quick and easy kill, and it's looking very grim, but that might be the light at the end of the tunnel. If they can start to get LeBlanc a couple more kills, she may be a little bit more deadly, but I have to ask, is it too little too late? Is this gold lead balloon so far ahead that 100 Thieves are just going to roll over the competition?
You know, with the team composition, I would say that they're definitely ahead of the curve. I'm actually going to hold that as low boss, potentially dead yet again.
Yeah, I'm just.
Say goodbye.
I don't even need to say anything. Kenvi, just Kenvi things.
Yeah,
Just Kenvi things.
just Jarvan. Honestly, just Aphelios things. Honestly, that right there is exactly how I feel whenever I play this champion. I'm behind. But, you know, I was going to say they're only about 8,000 gold, and while that is a huge amount of gold to be down at 8,000 with 3 turrets, about to be 4 here in favor of 100 Thieves, they are definitely ahead of the curve if you're on the side of the Thieves. I'll hold that. I don't think we're going to have much time.
Okay, Chookies, I see you, but that's still boom. That ends up with the dominating kill. Maybe not that dominating, but he comes out with a kill and is quickly traded away. And
Uh-oh, goodbye.
Kitsuo finds himself in the open arms of Kenvi, gives him a big hug, sent back to the graveyard, and 100 Thieves in the driver's seat. Pedal to the metal. Air Jelly looking for a fight here with Kenvi, and still it's Akinoki that's joining the fray. Serenok waiting in the wings to get the knockup, but here comes the party. They are doing insane amount of damage with Serenok. He cannot handle all of it, but here comes Tenacity.
Goodbye.
He just hops right in and takes out that kill. Air Jelly trying to escape, and they're still looking for more. Stun after stun. Kenvi, oh my goodness, and that's the double kill going over to Tenacity.
This is 16 minutes and they're knocking on the base right now. We're waiting as Moonlight Vigil goes a little bit wide, as we're gonna actually head right into a replay. There is no time to sit in live. Okay, I've been debated just a little bit. My bad. But amazing job from the side of 100 Thieves next, just slamming this team. They're not putting any kind of brakes right now on. They are just saying pedal to the metal, 12,000 gold. I think finally we may be able to try to answer your question. Is this game a little bit too far gone? If you asked me about 2 minutes ago, I was about to say, hey, this is a scaling team composition. We're waiting for the side of Frostfire to try to get into position. I think Serenok is still doing a beautiful job, all things considered, with kind of the collapse of his side lanes right now. But Lobos in this position, when you're playing this Aphelios matchup, it is incredibly difficult for you to try to step up into this matchup, and they are just punishing it constantly. Air Jelly is not really getting much love when it came to trying to just hold out against Aurelia, and 10,000 gold is typically where we start to see teams completely just get kind of sidelined out of this game. So looks like finally we are going to go into a replay. I'll hold that as I guess Serenok's just going to do a little bit of trading. So as we kind of look where we were looking in mid lane, Shuki's I think was trying to engage.
Oh, this is close. We're going to start to engage. Air Jelly in a little bit of trouble. Tenacity, but here's going to be joined by a couple more members. He's going to bite off maybe too much. He will try to survive, but it's still Air Jelly that'll come out on top. And now 100 Thieves maybe looking towards that dragon. They already have 2 on their belt, maybe looking for another one, as it's still Rift Herald available. I forget that it's only 18 minutes in the game with a 10+ K gold lead for the side of 100 Thieves. They are just dumb. We can talk about ways for Frostfire to come back, but 100 Thieves, you just have to call it at some point. 100 Thieves are they're so much more dominating this game than we saw in that last game.
Yeah, I think that this team definitely looks a lot more kind of stable when you have easier to engage compositions, and I think that the Trundle was definitely them kind of flexing their muscles when it came to execution. They were saying, all right, this is a team composition that is a little bit harder to execute, and in amateur, typically people are much more likely to take the safer route of execution. Fine, we'll just go with one engage in the jungle, we'll go for a support engage, we'll go with what's meta, and typically I mean, that works for them. That is where a lot of teams find their success. But as always with 100 Thieves, they're looking to try and push the envelope. And right there, we're seeing them try to push it when it comes to what they're able to try to go with. I love that from them. But in game two, this is exactly kind of when they kind of fall back into their pocket of where they like to play. They just look absolutely unstoppable. Specifically, I think Copy's doing again another great job. This is a guy who's sometimes kind of a silent killer for this team. Isn't super flashy, but has these picks like Corki. When we see Corki, everyone's just like, "Ah, oh, cool! I get to see another Azir Corki match." But we're seeing great things out of Copy, and I'll hold that as another Rift Herald is taken, potentially looking for an engage.
Oh my god, bullet time of a lifetime. Cataclysm will set things up. Akinoki will find that first entry, and now they're still looking for more. Kenby leading that charge, may not be as tanky as he'd like to be. Poom as well now going to take that duty. He will be looking towards that hook, but Copy off to the side. Now Serenok will look to answer back. He's got the package, he's ready to tango, but that will be the inhibitor that falls first, and they will find two. This may be the death's door that they are looking to open up against Frostfire. Game number 2. Air Jelly going to try to start things off. Hook, beautiful! Onto LaBoz will start things off. Poom will find that frag. Now they will continue the kill after kill. Quick hit Swow in a little bit of trouble. Chukis, he's going to make his way back, but oh, what a rocket coming out from Copy. And now just down to 2 more members left. They're just cleaning on up. Copy getting that double. They will take out the Nexus turrets. They will take out the Nexus. And they will come out on top in this game.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about like some of the lane splits, but it seems like Frostfire find themselves in a little bit of bind with no Haven to save them. And I mean, there's not even enough time there for them to surrender. It's only 21 minutes are about to end as Copy playing a little bit with their food. I think they're gonna find a little bit of a trade as they go back against Frostfire. But 20-5, 21 minutes into the game, 100 Thieves next looking incredibly dominant on the second game here.
Yeah, I'm at a loss for words. We saw, at least in that first game, Frostfire were able to put up a fight. It was very competitive between the two teams. Of course, 100 Thieves ended up coming out on top, but this game really got to tip my hat to the draft that came out there. Who I believe it's Fallen Bandit. Really, really good stuff coming out from him, putting that composition together. It's really textbook for 100 Thieves, but Frostfire were not able to deal with it, and it's going to be a problem in this division. 100 Thieves are going to be able to just time and time again outdraft and outsmart. That's just outwit, outlast, all of the above.
I think that's where we're probably going to see 100 Thieves a lot of the time throughout the split as we continue to go forward throughout the weeks. I think game ones are actually going to be a lot closer between the two as this is mostly going to be first time. They're not going to have a lot of footage against them. So 100 Thieves are going to come in blind, mostly just kind of coming off of whatever scrim results they have from that week and whatever they're finding out from other teams. But as we get further and further, I think we're going to see more and more series where 100 Thieves are just going to constantly find game 2 smashing victories once they kind of solve their opponents. We're actually going to find we're going to try to go into a replay here of that final fight as they were just kind of splitting. We saw that top side. They went on to Chuki's. Copy here just completely splitting the map. And we kind of see the situation where Frostfire, they have to look for a fight. So Air Jelly starts it off and immediately Lobos just gets executed out of the fight. Air Jelly has to kind of walk away licking his wounds. It feels like Frostfire, they were just too far in the hole, and that double up is actually what ends up killing Serenok there. The LeBlanc clone ends up providing his doom. And yeah, I mean, that was just a really one-sided affair. They had the bot side split push there, as we saw Copy. He's able to pull in the wave, and then we even just see bots the top lane. It just felt like they were trying to counter too many things. The Aatrox was not really in a position. And again, this Kitsuo last-minute substitution did not kick in like it was, we were kind of expecting it to.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people talking throughout the chat. Bot lane kingdom, top lane kingdom. At the end of the day, 100 Thieves has been well-rounded even since winter. They've just had player after player show performances across the board, whatever role. There's always someone that is shining on 100 Thieves. Today, it was a little bit of tenacity. It was a little bit of Poom. It was a little bit of Kennedy. The whole team kind of pitching in. But at the end of the day, you have to tip your hat to Frostfire for at least putting up a fight. They tried to keep it competitive in that first one. Second game, looking a little bit different, you know,
Yeah.
feeling a little bit more solo queue-esque, just a little bit, just trying a couple of different things, not really quite working out, but at the end of the day, 100 Thieves came out on top with the win and did so quite well.
Yeah, that was definitely a little bit rough to watch, especially if you're Frostfire. It's really demoralizing. I think coming into game one, like you were saying, there was a lot of eyes that were on 100 Thieves, and you're saying, okay, like how it's not even how is this series going to end, it's how fast is 100 Thieves going to end the series. And I think, like you were saying, game one was looking a lot more competitive, and I think that that's exactly where you want to find Frostfire, which is trying to at least fight for a spot in this division, especially in this. When we were talking about it at the beginning of the series, Infernal is looking incredibly stacked towards top side, and it's going to be very rough to find yourself in that number 2, number 3 spot. So between them, between I think Gathering Storm, it's going to be really difficult for them to actually kind of find their growing pains. They do have a lot when it comes to they have a lot of time, is what I'm going to say. Give this roster time. They are gods, but they can bleed, and I think
Yeah.
that this should give them some time and at least some kind of confidence to say, hey, we went really well. We actually fought one of their stronger members in Tenacity, someone that typically people are very scared to play against. And I think that if we can continue kind of in this style, that this is exactly where we can maybe find our niche and find some victories against some of these upper teams that a lot of people have us stacked against.
Well, thank you so much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close things out for the night. Just before we go, I'm going to try to get my cat into the
No
picture. Very,
cat.
very difficult. You can hardly see him. He's taking a quick nap. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you all that watched. Thank you to Papa Smithy for stopping by, Zix as well, the whole 100 Thieves family, in addition to all of the Frostfire supporters. That's going to be it for us. I'm Simo. Alongside me has been Alec Battery and our producer, Hyper. Thank you to everyone. Thank you so much. Have a good night, and I hope that you win your next solo queue game.
Here for Valorant, boys.